So he's playing these layering mind games of not only getting around my jab, getting around my power crush, getting around my mid-low blocking, but also getting around my mash timing. So he's playing these 4 levels like simultaneously to beat me. And he loses to me going like, I'm scared, I'm gonna hit a button. You see how that might be frustrating? If you're consistently playing these 4 levels and somebody is beating you, just going like, ah! I can imagine that feels really bad for a really seasoned player that's been working really hard, you know. Look at that. Even after getting clipped twice. So he got hit here, he got hit here, and then hit here. And despite that, he's ready for the back turn mix-up. Like, total presence of mind. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways. Is these top players are stacking mental they have a bunch of mental things running in parallel. So it's like outplaying the mid-low, simultaneously outplaying rhythm and timing, also moving around your offense. All of these things. So I'm playing Kunimitsu, and Speed is playing, well, Kazumi, obviously. So I think the cool thing about this is, like, I want to explain the way I'm playing and the way he's playing, okay? Well, from what I understand of the way he's playing. Okay. Well, Speed has talked to me about his approach to Kazumi and how his view of the character in general is because she has such monstrous movement. Your goal with Kazumi is to figure out how to... First of all, if you know how to move around what the opponent's doing, then you dissuade them from doing the stuff that can be evaded, right? He forces you to shrink your game to his level. So, like, if I want to track him, even 2-2 barely works. I have to use dash jab or dash down forward 1. So, at first, it's going okay. And, like, if another thing this is kind of built on is I'm operating under the assumption that any big thing I try like that just gets punished, right? And that's not just a guess. It's like, you know, from playing him a bunch. Like, if I go full crouch, it feels like he just reacts to that and gets the fucking sweep. So I'm shrinking my Tekken out of a field. Like, look at that.
Right as she's about to move,
The one mid I went for got stepped, and then that got stepped, right? So, like, he is so sharp on moving, and he's so sharp on every opening in my offense, right? Like, I think glaciating plays really similarly, right? Like, looking not only for all the offensive holes, but also the timing holes. And if you're getting filled up on 2 holes at the same time, it's really stressful, right? And then it breaks down your offense, it breaks down your defense. So you'll see me be doing a lot of 2-2 to try and track that sidestep right duck that Kazumi's doing. It's really hard. How do you do consistent damage then? That's what I'm saying, right? So I'm not able to get a lot of consistent damage in, even though 2-2 is like the monster homing.
Nice whip punish. Holy shit.
The monster homing range 0 option. He's able to sidestep duck it in windows that will evade my jab. Sidestep duck block, right? Like, he's doing all of this in windows that beat my jab, my 2-2. It's crazy. So, and my down forward 1. So 2-2 tracked him there. I clipped him with down back 2. That was cool. But you see how, like, even a micro whiff like that, he's so ready. I would not be ready to whiff punish here at all. Down back 2 whiff right there. Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, this guy is so stupid sharp. Keeps a -9 in check with jabs, right? Okay, he tries to finish that, goes for a risk, and then I 1-1 to check him with my... And another beautiful thing I think about the way he plays is it feels like he understands the moment my gut instinct is to just defend. Like, where I'm right away thinking, hey, maybe I should just back up here, and then a low comes and hits me. It feels like every time. So I try to track him because he's always been sidestepping right, and he just blocked. Ooh. Then he stepped right again. Okay, so look at this. The 1-1-1 blocked. And then he just stepped right my jab. It wasn't even like the same mix-up or anything. It was just the jab. So he's constantly moving in a way that shuts down my jab, shuts down forward 3+4, shuts down forward 1, right? And that's just sidestep right. But he's also doing it in a way where 2-2 won't clip him. Isn't that insane? So he's systematically depriving you of the options you have by just the way he moves. B-Sun said, what I like about Speed is that he can consistently punish you for overextending in small ways. Yeah. So, like, I make a small whiff, I get punished. I do a linear move too many times, I get punished. I overextend in frames, I get punished. I get predictable with mid-lows, I get punished. So that was my mini whiff punish there. So I didn't capitalize on that whiff. Like, let's look at that again. So I'm hitting him a lot, and so that's getting him to try and put out some hitboxes. And even then, I wasn't ready for that whiff at all. Isn't that crazy? But like, had it flipped the situation, he whiff punishes me for that like 10 out of 10 times. Yab 2-2, -6, he low parries. Look at that. So he twice, this is what exactly I was talking about 2 seconds earlier. I talked about I'm going to make a read, and then I'll still hit a button. He makes a read and then chills, right? So he reads a low parries, it doesn't work. So just return to block. Low parries again, returns to block. So I've been conditioned to feel safe because he made the wrong read. And then Magic 4 fucks me up. He drops the combo, but that's irrelevant. Like, the win in that situation is just so, like, holy moly. So not only is his brain looking for my... Not only is his brain looking for my low timings there, he's also looking for my approach timings, right? So all of the DLC advantage I have with, like, auto-tracking, huge space control, is getting shut down by, number one, his willingness to make reads kind of, like, safely, like movement-based reads. And then while he's making those reads, he's not just evaluating the success rate of those, right? So that's a problem I think I have as a player, is I'm going for a read and my mind is just there. Like, is this counter hit gonna work? Is this low parry gonna work? But while he's doing that, it's clear that there are other observations going on. And it's probably all autonomous, right? Like, I doubt he's enumerating it. I mean, he could be, which would be insane. But while he's evaluating all that, he's evaluating these other things. And that is part of the, like, top player aspect. So here, I see that he is playing... This is an interesting interaction as well. So here you notice he's not putting out any hitboxes. He's not doing any movement. It's very clear, like, at this spacing, at this distance, what he's trying to do by not moving and not pressing is he wants me to come in a predictable way so he can counter hit me or low parry me, right? So I am, first of all, stressed out of my mind because I know that he has these reads. So he does a little keep out to try to induce me to act. He does a flash low parry. I do this down 4. And then I go mid because I think he read that I was going to go low, and that's why he did the stance. But you see, like, that's how he's trying to abuse me. He's not trying to go head-to-head with, like, hitboxes. Even though, like, Kazumi can move really well. So I think that's kind of not a fair comparison, right? But he's looking for ways for me to hang myself, whether it's unsafe strings, whether it's predictable timings, predictable mid-lows, those kinds of things. But he's just sitting still because, like, it's like he is so confident that I'm going to make a decision that's going to kill me.
I was so excited. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so you saw what I did here. I was so excited I didn't punish it, right? Because I was excited that I was outplaying him with the pokes, and then when it came in, I was ready for that. This is some previous mind game shit, too, where I know he's, like, looking for... God, I got him to whiff, and I did nothing. Man, whiff punishing the jab with that is crazy. Look at that. Even after getting clipped twice... So he got hit here, he got hit here, and then hit here. And despite that, he's ready for the back turn mix-up. Like, total presence of mind. Revenant asks, so couldn't you move a little more in his face before going for a button, since he's going for low parry the moment you approach? Yes. And I was afraid of running into his jabs, right? Especially because he locks down with 1-1-2. So it's like... It's like a two-layered situation where it's like, I'm trying to outplay him mid-low and outplay him on the approach timing.
Oh my god!
It's active defense is a great way to phrase that. So yeah, that shit is stressful. So yeah, like, and I'll just highlight even more, like, the situations going on. It's like, very, very, like, that down forward 2 hitting was a miracle. It felt like a miracle. Or, sorry, that down forward 2 hitting was a hard read on him doing a sidestep button to beat, like, my jab. And like Emily plays like this too. Speed is just so sharp at it. And he like adjusts faster. I think that was an input error. I don't know. Maybe he was going for some cool shit. And look at that. See, like 1-1. So like you were mentioning like, oh, like if he's just gonna low parry, why don't you just stand in his face or do something else, right? And I recognize it's not an approach, but
Doing nothing.
but the reason why I'm playing so small, like you don't see me going for crazy Kuni shit, is because he's just shown he can defend against it, right? He's shown he can defend against 1-1. He's shown that he can block the sweep, stuff like that. So no punish.
Hello?
So it forces me to try and just clip him moving, right? Clip him moving or win the mid-low game. The mid-low game, which he continues to make solid reads on me.
Oh my god, dude. How do you
So it feels like all of my options to do damage are just non-existent. Yeah, back 2 and Muda Desus are what I've not been doing. Which are definitely on the table, right? But look at that. I was trying to catch him stepping, and he saw, like, oh, HP's low. He just needs to block.
He doesn't know.
Even if he
I think
blocks just a
knows
1-1-2 there, it's no
uh,
big deal.
Fucking... He knows. He just, you know, he practices.
So I think later in the set, I'll start trying the stance a little more. But even then, it's like, look at that low parry, dude. Like, it makes... When somebody plays defensively this well, it feels like there's no way to get in. Let me run that again. Look at this neutral.
Oh, Jesus.
I just ran in and did it right away.
I'll do it again, though.
And then I think, yeah, right here, you just heard me say I'll do it again, so I might try it again. But I whiffed. And if I keep whiffing like that, he went for the whiff punish. You see that? So while... That's probably one of the biggest takeaways. Is these top players are stacking mental... They have a bunch of mental things running in parallel. So it's like... Outplaying the mid-low. Simultaneously outplaying rhythm and timing. Also moving around your offense. All of these things are fucking crazy. Do you think it's because he plays Kuni himself, or that he's confident in all matchups? To me, it's irrelevant that it's Kuni.
I thought he was gonna low parry.
Because the only Kuni specific thing that would help me in this is her crazy
I
backdash.
got jabbed out of my,
And
4+4. So you can only use that if they're chill.
yeah, it's like this is the most like basic way I can lose. Let's jump ahead to here. This is a really long set. This is an hour and a half. So here I'm this is a cool interaction, right? So I'm trying to go under the jabs for one. I'm moving with him now. This was another adaptation I made. So instead of challenging his sidestep with the dash button or something, I would move with him and just step in the same direction to like reset the situation. That way what I did wouldn't whiff, and I necessarily didn't have to commit to a button either. Oh my god, he starts doing down back 2 non-stop, dude. It's actually wild. See how he got me? Okay, look at that. That shit is crazy to me. Right here, I'm gonna whiff. He did a down forward 1, baby sidestep just enough to make my jab whiff, and then fucking murdered me for it. How is that crazy? What's crazy is that he's doing all of this. He's doing all of this while making the timing reads, while making the mid-low reads. So it's like not only... Like, for me, if I'm playing this kind of game, this is all I'm thinking about. All I'm thinking about is, like, what timing is he doing something so I can step it, right? So it's not just the fact that he succeeded, it's the success rate and how he's doing it alongside everything else. Like, if I'm looking for whiff punishment, I'm just looking for whiff punishment. If I'm looking for rhythm and timing, I'm just looking for that. If I'm trying to sidestep shit, it's usually just that. So it's getting that all at once is so crazy to me. And it just shows how many ways you can outplay your opponent, right? Like, he's outplaying me in all of these areas at the same time. There's my 1+2 to clip him, and then I think I just try to run away this whole time. Or I'm looking for a rage drive or something. Oh my god, no. Yeah, I was so focused on the run up, running 2, 1-1, and the hell sweep. So I completely froze. Shit's crazy. Now he starts using down back 2 as well, and I think he's using that because he knows I just won't duck. And so there's a really high success rate on these, and it's kind of funny. Now, like, can you, like, so imagine you're in your, like, regular green rank, red rank, blue rank match, right? Like, running up and just doing down back 2 like that doesn't really accomplish anything, right? Like, you do that so much, it'll just get blocked. But the reason he's being successful is because he's controlled me so much with jab, controlled me so much with down forward 1.
React to that. It'd be a lot better.
And it's not just jab and down forward 1, it's that he down forward 1s, and then if I try to retaliate, he's out of there, he moved away.
Just stepping.
So, combine all these factors together,
That's kind of rough. Ooh.
and it's so much of my jabs won't work. If I duck, I get down forward 1.
I'm not really looking for anything else.
And my lows will get low parried. So that's constantly on my mind. So while I'm trying to unjumble that puzzle, he comes in with this really slow low that will get around my jabs too, by the way. And it just hits. It just keeps hitting. So whereas in a standard match, I'd probably feel so comfortable just blocking it, right? Or just low parrying it. I'm just thinking so much about that jab timing he's doing.
Hey, Shishi.
But here I call it out with the
But
here I call it out with the hop kick, you know. Here's a good way, I think, to demystify it. It's not just that he's reading me, because that sounds kind of nebulous. I think a better way to frame it is I'm telegraphing when I want to go mid-low. I'm telegraphing when I want to attack.
I have to wait. Did I say something else?
With the way I move, with the decisions I make, all of that kind of builds a weirdly subjective, like a subjective picture that's kind of hard to nail down in words. But to me, it's just, it ends up being so obvious for Speed to see when I'm going mid, when I'm going low. When he can counter hit me. When he can just go for a read. And when I'm hesitating. I think that's the final layer too. Well, not the final layer. That's kind of the big thing that puts it all together. Is like,
Oh, that's not the punish.
now that none of my offensive tools are working, I'm frozen enough that he can hit me with these really slow lows, these really slow mids, right? Sorry, not these slow mids. These really slow lows. And just, he could slowly just chip away damage because I'm too afraid to do anything. And while he's got me frozen there, he's constantly
Just be focusing on different things. You know?
testing me to understand when that breaks.
Get worse.
So eventually I'm going to get tired of being frozen. I'm going to try to hit a button. So he's testing me, testing. And then I whiff, right? So were I not using Kuni and have that string, his whiff punish would destroy me. And I think that round is a good example of like when top players complain about DLC. Top players complain about DLC, top players complain about Tekken 7. Is that kind of variance worked because of the properties of my string. My high-mid tracking string with extension, right? So yes, you could probably generalize that as like if Devil Jin did like back forward 2-1-2 and did the extension and clipped him. So, but either way, you saw how confident his whiff punish read was, and it just didn't pan out because I had this super fast advancing extension hitbox that just covered it, right? We'll watch it again. So I whiff, and then I catch him there with just an extension. When people talk about, oh, this player's bad, even though they're getting results, like, look at that interaction. The amount of layers that he's going through to win here. So he knows I'm frozen, and he's testing me, getting me to respond. So he's playing these layering mind games of not only getting around my jab, getting around my power crush, getting around my mid-low blocking, but also getting around my mash timing. So he's playing these 4 levels, like, simultaneously to beat me. And he loses to me going like, I'm scared, I'm gonna hit a button. You see how that might be frustrating? If you're consistently playing these 4 levels and somebody is beating you just going like, ah! I can imagine that feels really bad for a really seasoned player that's been working really hard, you know? And the crazy part on top of that is he can sustain that despite that frustration. Because yes, plenty of games and like situations have
Oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Have plenty of games, situations, like interactions have things where like one player will do a dumb thing that beats this really like high effort player, right? And like that's just part of the game.
That goes really far.
But I think that this micro situation carries over to a lot of other situations in this game.
It takes a while to build
A great
up.
example is like, had I used Noctis's 2-2 there, it just wouldn't have whiffed. So while he's going through all this effort to get me to whiff and punish it and kill me, because he spent all this time reading my mid-low, my own willingness to block, my like mashing patience or like impatience in that situation, and
not as bad as Noctis's, which is kind of crazy.
my lateral movement as well. So while he's controlling all that,
Sometimes that's all that matters, you know?
Noctis just presses 2-2 and he's out of that situation. So like that's where a lot of the frustration comes. Here's another beautiful situation, right? But despite all that, he's pressuring.
Matters, you know?
I whiffed there, and I'm surprised he didn't punish that. He probably didn't think it would whiff. He probably thought he blocked it.
Gonna have to kick my friend's ass. Sometimes
So you might think like, why don't I just slide or something? Like his defense is still very sharp, and how you can tell is here I whiff a 2-2 at tip running 2 range, and he's ready to whiff punish it. Not to get away with the same thing as last time, right? Because last time he went for rage drive punish, I think he was a bit slow. That time he adjusted it. So I whiffed that too. That's a miracle. So like looking back at this, having played, I'm surprised these whiffs I'm doing aren't getting punished. From how consistently he's been whiff punishing so many things. And I think this is, this is kind of the main thing I wanted to highlight, right? It's like, if you look at how we're playing, you're not seeing me use Kuni's big moves. Like, I got the sidestep 4. That was an accidental input. But you're seeing me, I'm too afraid to do, that whiff punish. I'm too afraid to go into full crouch. I'm too afraid to go into back turn because he's shown to...
that was sick.
He's shown to option select it with his movement, right? Like, back turn has been shut down by his movement. And, yeah, it just all builds into... When somebody's defense is so solid, it's not just that they're blocking, right? It's that they're moving, jabbing, counter-hitting you to take away your options.
So slow. It feels so bad eating it.
And that is what feels like look at that whiff punish, dude.
Man. That low is so slow. It feels so bad eating it. Nice whiff.
So I got one mid on hit, and I tried to mid check him again, and he whiff punished it. I go double low. All of this, by the way, is me just desperately trying to hit him. But for him, that's just like another data point. And I'm not just making that assumption. It's because of the way I'm getting read, right? Like his choice of when to backdash, choice of when to advance. If I chill for too long, that's exactly what happens too. You guys see that? So I don't want to get counter hit. I don't want to whiff. So I stand here and I just chill. And then I get hit. I'm like, great. So I can't wait too long or I'll get hit. But if I act as soon as I want to and it gets red, then I get destroyed. And so that's how it's so oppressive and suffocating. And I think that...
Wow.
Holy shit, Kuni can backdash that. So what's a good takeaway here? You know, I think a good takeaway is like, you can probably draw this analogy to very low level, right? Like, you ever play against somebody who's really, really new at Tekken? And they are just throwing out snake edges and orbitals, or like 3-hit mid strings like law back 1-2-2. You ever like play against somebody like that, and it's like all you have to do is just block, and then you'll kill them? And to them, it feels like, man, there's nothing I can do. Like, all my attacks are just getting beat. I think it's just that blown up to a higher level, right? Like, you understand concepts of blocking and punishing, of reactability, of predictability. So for them, it's a really new field, and kind of like, okay, I have these power moves, and they work on the computer, and I hit them, and I get a combo. But they don't have the experience playing around people who are doing tighter offense, or playing around people who are playing cleaner, right? So they just see this, and it seems unwinnable. And to me, I think this is the same situation happening here, where Speed has played Tekkens that really emphasize these micro movements and outplaying people on this level because you have to, or because that's so effective. And even in Tekken 7, where Kuni has like 2-2 that is like, you know, shutting down any kind of movement, he's still willing to sidestep the jabs and down forward ones, and is just tightening it up to handle the 2-2.
Well, I bully, bro.
To me, it looks like he's moving and poking with the confidence and experience to not have to think about it consciously, so he's able to focus really hard on what his opponent is doing. Yeah. I think that's an underrated component, too. You can tell some of it, a lot of it's autonomous because I'm hitting these really slow lows, like sidestep 4, or like, things he's not looking for. How do you even beat someone who moves like that, though? Yeah. Well, that's a good question. So how do you beat someone who moves like that? Let's move to the end of the set and see what kind of things I figure out. Because I do start figuring things out, even though he still smokes me. I start figuring out some ideas. So you saw some random down forward twos would hit, and I think that just messes with the sidestep block duck timing, right? It messes with the timing. So I think that's a big part, is having these or like things like that, like unexpected string extensions. It's partially cheese, but it's also like, so okay, it's cheese on my end because I'm not really doing it with a confident read. I'm kind of just doing it hoping it'll hit. But I think a more seasoned player would recognize when Speed is getting impatient with just blocking and just moving and wants to get damage on me or try to keep me in check, and that's when my string extension would pay off. But there, I did down back 2 into full crouch, and he was still ready. He was still ready to look for the low. And the reason I go for the low so much, like why not just go for the mid, is because he has shown so much confidence in just mid block punishing that it makes me want to go low, thinking like, oh, it'll just be fine. Yeah, let's see what kind of things I figure out, because this was a really productive session in trying to figure out how to access this kind of gameplay. And I gotta just do it more to get more comfortable with it, right? And I think, like, that was a successful example of 2-2 tracking. I'm like, great, okay. I start using the low in the stance to challenge his willingness to just block and stuff. You don't dash block? My dash block is getting eaten by his jabs. Like I'm surprised that hop kick didn't hit me, because his timing read on my dash block is also really effective. Look at that. Do you see that sidestep? Had I done 1-1, I get counter hit launched. He's testing my patience with these jabs and trying to keep me in check. Keep my movement in check, that is. Jab down forward 1, giving me -1 to act. Sidesteps around and does magic 4. If I had not done if I had done the 1-1 string, I would have died. I went for low parry. He expected me to just hesitate and just not block. So I think that was another component too, is despite getting down forward 1 and getting outplayed over and over, making these... Oh, it's -3? Okay. Making these confident mid-low reads despite getting outplayed constantly is another big one. And you can see that's what Speed is doing, right? Like, remember that rage drive situation earlier where I did 2-2-2 and it beat his backdash rage drive whiff punish attempt? Despite that, he's continuing to whiff punish. And, you know, part of that might just be there's no tournament nerves, there's no outside factors. He's way more experienced here. He's continuing to make good reads. But that confidence not going away is another, like, top player component, I think. What did he just whiff punish? And what did I just do?
So ready. Game sick.
I wish the video player could jump by, like, 5 seconds. Oh, God. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. What was that?
Damn. So ready.
So he tried to move around that. There. He did a... I did the low in place thinking he would dash in. So because he didn't dash in, you know, easy hit. A lot of these low timings are trying to beat his sidestep, sidestep right block, right?
That's crazy.
And so he has the counter answer to that very quickly. Right, so Barbados Blackbelly asks, how do you beat someone who moves like that? If somebody is sidestepping to beat your jabs, your down forward ones, and everything on, like, automatically, one of the answers I was trying to come up with was go low. Because my low would track both ways. That was one of my answers I tried to throw together. And it was working. Like, it works here. I do it twice. Watch this. Sidestep low parry. Twice! You see that? Let's run it back one more time. Run it back one more time. So you watch this. I catch him sidestepping because he does jab, jab, sidestep right, low parry.
Wow, I even waited.
And even though it failed like twice, he just did it again. Because he's so confident that that's the option I'm going to choose. Which leaves me needing to come up with an answer again. Now keep in mind, my answer of a low was also backdashable. It would only work contingent on the fact that he would sidestep right, low parry, and then stand. So I punished with 2-2, dash, jab in, and then I sidestep 2-2, but he wasn't looking for a whiff punish there. So what this kind of told me too is either he lost focus a little bit, or the reasonable explanations, he lost focus a little bit. What that felt like to me in my head in the moment was every whiff punish before was expected. You ducked? I meant why the is it because you were expecting the extension? Because I thought I was gonna die on that fucking. I thought I was gonna fucking die to a whiff punish immediately. Dang, I wish you got here earlier, man. I have to go soon. This would add so much. But these sets are really fun for me. I was in a panic situation. You expected me to do the extension. Yeah, I don't know if you were here the whole time, but I was basically talking about how, like on a surface level, why we're playing so small is because the way you moved just shut down my ability to attack in other ways. So it forced me to play, with moves that I like could basically guarantee would hit, right? So I'm trying to track the micro side steps with 2-2. I'm trying to jab when you're not blocking, so when you're coming forward or when you're doing an attack. And then I'm trying to down forward one if you're ducking my lows. That's kind of like what I boiled that down to and what I was trying to win with. And then like down forward 2 if I could catch like a step into a button or something. But then I also highlighted how it was so difficult to come up with answers when all of my offensive options are being shut down by the movement. Oh yeah. And then while I'm trying to piece answers together, I'm getting hit in the legs. Right? So it's like while I'm operating on one of the layers, you've got like 4 of them running in parallel, blowing me up. That's what I was talking about this whole time. You're playing Kazumi while playing Kuni. Yeah. And what I was talking to Speed about this. He plays in a way, and he will say that like Kazumi is designed in a way that if you play her well, it'll shut down your opponent such that they have to play like Kazumi. Because if you watch earlier in the set, a lot of the move selection I'm using and a lot of the choices I'm making are just getting straight up beat by movement. Movement, good defense, etc. So it forces you to pick smaller moves. The only exception being like, yeah, if I get like a YOLO down forward 2, like that hits a step button or something. I think you just win this with better 2-2 timing though. That was my another like idea I had that I couldn't execute. I'm like, man, if he's moving, he cannot block 2-2, you know? But also you guys will see that like I'm not using a lot of down forward 3+4 because I don't have the confidence that I'm not going to get jabbed out of it or get it stepped, right? If I'm doing anything besides jab. I like how you're making the game sense out to be so science-like. 2-2 takes time to lead, yeah. Yeah, 2-2 seems too good to not just win with, like high key. And then if I can... And then I think another part I was losing as a player is when I'm doing 2-2 to movement check you, I'm not playing the mini game, the string mini game, which is what good players will play on top of that, right? I like how you're making the game sense out to be so science-like. I mean, I'm lucky I get to talk to these like really good players and like have this exposure because I don't think these concepts are very easy to develop solo. I was surprised that caught, honestly. I think these are really difficult concepts to nail down without either somebody to bounce that idea off with or to play against where they're constantly doing that in action. I think it's pretty hard. Like in like universities and shit, there are a lot of really good ideas hidden behind just experts in their field, you know? So like if you a lot of the like Veritasium videos on YouTube and stuff like that, they're like interviewing people because this information is not, it's not like your it's not like a fast food meal, you know? It's like Is cutting edge the word I want to use? Because it's cutting edge in the sense that it's not like new, but it is like there is such a degree of expertise needed to access it, you know? Wish I could access it. Well, that's why I'm trying to make videos on it. I'm trying to like talk about it more. It's arcane in the old sense of the word. But that's why I'm trying to make videos on it, because I think like it'd be cool to like talk about, even if like it's prohibitively difficult to do. So like, yeah, like probably a lot of players would wonder like, man, this guy fucking not blocking a single hell sweep. Why isn't he blocking it? It's just because my mental stack is so occupied by other things.
Like
That was hilarious.
Like on demotion.
I'm so occupied with all these other things. I'm like, man, how do I jab without getting magic forward? How do I down forward one without getting sidestep? How do I keep him out with my jab, because that's the only way I can hit him, right? Or 2-2 him. And while I'm thinking about all that, these stature kicks are coming in, right? It's good to understand theory, but neither you nor your opponent is a machine. Yeah. Yeah, a machine wouldn't key charge me there. Boiling it down from my understanding of why I'm getting demolished this set, despite having DLC advantage, despite having theoretically moves that would just answer what he's trying to do instantly. It's not only I'm getting outplayed on one layer of all these fighting game interactions, it's that I'm getting outplayed on one layer and switching between them while he's playing the layering game all at once, right? So he's coming at me with like, I can block your unsafe mids. Like if I go for raw down forward 2 or these like unsafe mids, I can just block it. Like my movement is solid enough to just block it. Then if you sit still, I can read that you're sitting still and just hit your hit you low, right? If you try and come in, I can catch you with my jab. I can counter hit you if you're coming in with a button. And then if you come in with lows, I can outplay you on that level. Those are kind of like these 4 layers that I feel like are coming from the from Speed, from the Kazumi. And this is me trying to play on those levels and just dying each time one by one and switching, right? So I think how would I tie that? Like what am I trying to do going forward? Well, step 1 is play against this like kind of oppressive, clean, heavily layered gameplay more often, right? I think that's number 1, is play against this more often so I see it more often. And then number 2 is understand that it is layered. So I think the skill of playing with these on different layers is also part of the core component, right? So I'm playing trying to perfect each individual level. Like, I will read his mid-low here. I will read him coming in and counter hit him here. Or I will catch him stepping with 2-2. I will counter hit him with this. You know, I'm making it single-threaded. I hate making these analogies because I don't like coding. But I'm insisting on doing it single-threaded and doing it so well that I win there. But while I'm doing that, not only am I getting outplayed on that layer, I'm falling behind on these other layers. And I've already said it, but like when I'm using 2-2 to track his sidestep block, I'm not playing the 2-2 mini game of extensions or stance. So he's able to develop these reads on me while I'm still playing this tracking game, which I'm also losing, by the way. Anyway, seems like it has to do with character familiarity and how to properly space counter and what offense to use. That and not allowing for any easy counter hit. So basically playing a chip or high risk game. So yeah, so how I would describe it in that context is I go in swinging. Speed shows he can defend it, right? So now my game plan of these bigger moves, catching him coming in, and then getting a combo isn't working, right? So how do I hit him if I'm going to hit him? I have to jab him if he's coming in, right? Just to control his movement, and then do small mid-low mixes. But what I'm finding is that the way that I do that by default is getting outplayed by his
Let me switch characters.
Is the way he was able to download the way I do that by default, like instantly, no problem. So when that happens, it makes me have to reconsider how I'm approaching, make me reconsider how I can mix up what I'm doing. And while that's happening, he's hitting me, you know? So it's like, I'm not only questioning everything I'm doing, I'm still trying to solve the puzzle of beating what's coming at me. Because he's shown that he can beat not only my character's layer 1, but my layer 1. Anyways, so Speed said, have to understand how a player can create the kind of gameplay instead of just the gameplay itself. Yeah, right now, I'm still having my mind blown by the gameplay itself. Right? So, then arriving at that, developing the process, I think is another huge advantage of, like, you know, talking it out or having people to, like, talk with it about.
Oh, shit.
Anyways, then Stragman's asked, what's your approach to understand a player and how a player can create this kind of gameplay?
Oh my god, I didn't want to do that.
And then Speed said, have ideas you can default to when you have no idea. Then look at your opponent until you find one. And I think that is another big element too, is like you'll see a lot of my Kuni stuff kind of flail and like probably not have the same psychological impact because I'm not getting punishes or whatever. Like that. I think character familiarity is a baseline requirement to accessing all this, right? Like you need to understand your character, you need to understand their character. And like being honest, like in Tekken, I'm missing 90% of that. I freaking play Noctis and he's pretty simple, and I'm missing the context of understanding how his moves function in the realm of how other characters are trying to operate, you know. Sometimes Christian says, yeah, it's tough when somebody has a good defense and understanding of what you're trying to do. Sometimes I think it feels like you have to overextend when you don't. Sometimes if they're being defensive, you can answer with being even more defensive. And I super agree with that. And I think that was where I was finding some success. Like I was getting my whiff punishes or counter hit attempts when I was able to.
Dude, he's working. Do you see how
like
hard he's
so
working?
look like this is a good example of like kind of the layer 1 of how things were operating. I'm so glad that popped up right there. So most of how the match was going was me swinging and him evading, him beating, him blocking, and then whiff punishing like that. That's like a perfect example of how the whole match is going.
And how like I'm just hitting
If I stayed defensive enough, I could entice him to come in with like a down back 4 or come in with a low or something that I could exploit. And like you said, that required me being defensive. And I think the part where that got really hard was when I stayed defensive too long that I got hit. Or I was being genuinely defensive without that extra layer of intent to get him to respond, and I would just get hit. So there's this empathy component of like, I know what my gameplay is showing you, and I'm going to play on that I'm not there yet.
Wow.
So like, I thought I was doing what I needed to do, right? Because I'm just sitting here, I'm just chilling, and I can get him to do something, right? Forward 4. And then I thought, okay, great, I got my window of opportunity. So I come in and he magic 4s me, you know?
A bit more judicious about using down back 4 in particular.
So it's kind of like, holy shit, that's step 2. Like, what story is my gameplay telling?
Down 4, Molly misfire. These are some good matches.
And what story is their gameplay telling to me? And I think right now what is becoming very clear is in this game, I'm getting a lot of wins on one of these stories, right?
Got him to whiff. Woo.
I'm getting a win on one of these stories where I'm just saying, I'm mixing up this string. I'm spacing here. I'm counter hitting here.
But it was hidden by...
And then Speed and probably a lot of like really, really, really skilled OG players are just playing all 4 of these at the same time, right? They're like telling 4 stories at the same time, playing the deception, playing the just like fundamentally just outplaying me there where I'm like doing something predictably and that's being downloaded.
Oh, I forgot that wall breaks, yeah.
So where does that leave me? Well, how can I take this into my gameplay?
I got him to whiff.
I want to work on layering these mind games, right? Like understanding that I can be playing with punishment and playing counter hit and playing mid-low and playing like string extensions all at once. It's not just one, right? Additionally, I have to supplement that with the character knowledge, you know, so that I can make these informed decisions instead of these partial decisions. This set boils down to my offensive options were getting
so you don't...
beaten by movement.
You don't... Are you saying you don't take...
Right? So I felt like I couldn't attack. So to answer that, I tried to come up with new timings to beat that movement.
Is that what you're saying?
Those new timings would often lead to me getting counter hit or whiff punished, right? So while I'm trying to come up with new timings to avoid getting whiff punished or counter hit, I'm getting hit, right? So there's so much of I'm trying to go piece by piece to answer why I'm losing.
Oh, I did it down for it too. It was way too
So I'm going, is this not working? Okay, let me go here. This not working? Let me go here. This not working? Let me go here. And Speed is going all four the whole time. So that lets him outplay me in one and then come up with an answer to the next one as it evolves. Whereas I'm kind of seeing it for the first time. And that's just why this, like, that's why this is just like a total demolition, you know? Like, I start Emperor, Speed is Yaksa. At the end of this, I think it flips. Like, it completely flips. And the rank isn't ultimately what matters. What's crazy to me is, like, the level of consistent outplay. And the disproportionate effort or disproportionate mental outplay. And I think when I talk to a lot of good players, that's where the frustration comes from. The frustration of Tekken 7 seems to come from the ability to consistently lose even if you're making these outplays. And I don't mean consistently like over a super long time. It's just like the variance leads to so many situations where you can lose despite making all these outplays, being aware of it. And then just like a flinch moment happens or you get outplayed in one of these while you're maintaining this stack. And that just costs so much HP, right? Did you test their FC? Yeah. This was like the very beginning. We had tested full crouch, back turn, everything. So the defense is so solid, my move list is boiled down because I can't use those, you know? Anyways, I have to go, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's do this again tomorrow. This was really fun. And this gives me YouTube content to make and shit.